You might not know this, but there's been some serious drama erupting in the rap world lately, and guess who's at the center of it all? Yep, Drake. Just recently, in his comeback response, he straight up said, "All you people teaming up, what is this, a 20v1? He fired back after artists like Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, Kendrick Lamar, Future, Metro Boomin, The Weeknd, and so many others threw shade his way. It's got everyone asking, what's with all the hate for Drake? Let's dive in and break it down, starting with Future and Metro Boomin. With all the drama going down, Drake's feud with Metro and Future is no secret, so I'm not gonna get into every little detail here. But this is the crucial backstory to understand why so many big-name rappers have joined the chorus of diss tracks aimed at Drake. Future and Metro Boomin are the ones who kickstarted this rap civil war, and it looks like Metro Boomin is pulling the strings behind it all. So why's Metro Boomin got it out for Drake? Well, it all seems to trace back to December 2022, when Drake was mysteriously left off Metro Boomin's album, Heroes and Villains.
I was just in the studio with Drake one time, because we were going to do some stuff on my album, and he just wanted to hear some songs from my album. Then he heard that one and really wanted to get on it. But like, I was letting him know that it was really just done for real, and I was really just set on how it was. I was like, bro, I ain't even trying to sell you no dream. Like, it's really like just locked in. I'm locked in where it was,
But things really kicked off again after Drake and 21 Savage's album Her Loss kept snagging the Album of the Year title over Metro's Heroes and Villains. That's when Metro couldn't hold back any longer and tweeted, "Yet Her Loss still keeps winning Rap Album of the Year over H&V. Proof that award shows are just politics and not for me. I don't care about awards, honestly. The true award and reward is knowing that the music I spend so much time on brings joy to people's everyday lives." Metro deleted the tweet fast, but it was clear there was some serious tension brewing. Then Drake seemed to throw his own shade during a live stream, saying,
"And to the rest of you, the non-believers, the underachievers, the tweet and deleters, you guys make me sick to my stomach, fam. Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? That's what I thought."
It's hard to say if it was just leaving Drake off his album and Drake sweeping up all those awards that set this off, but it definitely added fuel to the fire. And it clearly ticked Metro off enough to team up with Future for not one, but two albums aimed squarely at Drake, packed with diss tracks from other rappers who weren't feeling him either. But why did Future, an old friend of Drake, get caught up in this rap civil war? The real origin of Future and Drake's beef is still a mystery, but there are some clues. The last time these two collaborated was on Future's album, I Never Liked You. After that, rumors started swirling that things weren't so peachy between them.
And back to my Future, Metro Boomin, Drake tension. You don't think it's weird that nothing ever happened with that fucking hit smash song that Future and Drake made with Tim's?
What do you mean? Nothing
Wait
happened?
for you.
It was a hit.
When you say,
it was a hit.
When you say what?
No, it was a hit. It was a smash.
So what you mean? Nothing happened with it.
And sure enough, those rumors turned out to be true. When Future threw a diss at Drake on his album, fans were left scratching their heads, wondering why. For a while, many speculated that the beef was over, girl, but Metro Boomin quickly shut that theory down, saying, "Stop making stuff up for engagement and enjoy the music." With that in mind, the next big theory was that Future and Metro are tight, and Future just picked a side, Metro's side, in his ongoing feud with Drake. After all, Metro's producer tag is literally Future shouting, "If young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you." For whatever reason, Future's made it crystal clear that he doesn't trust Drake. And it's obvious Drake's got issues with him too. In fact, on his recently leaked Push-Ups diss track, he straight up said, "I could never be nobody's #1 fan. Your first #1, I had to put it in your hand." Which was clearly aimed at Future. And as for Metro, well, all Drake had to say to him was, "Shut your old ass up and make some drums." Which, honestly, was pretty hilarious. So, whatever the real reason was, this whole drama with Drake is exactly why. When they made their first album, they had to bring in another rapper who's got a bone to pick with Drake. And that would be none other than Kendrick Lamar. Now, Kendrick and Drake's beef is no secret, especially lately, so I won't dive too deep into it. But trust me, there's some crucial backstory here. Kendrick and Drake kicked things off as friends back in the early 2000s, with Drake actually putting Kendrick on by bringing him on tour with A$AP Rocky. They even collaborated a few times, but the real drama kicked off when Kendrick and Big Sean dropped Control. In Kendrick's verse, he made it clear he was coming for everyone in the rap game, including Drake. At first, most people weren't bothered, since Kendrick made sure to say he had love for them, and everyone figured it was just some friendly competition. But Drake saw it differently. He fired back saying, "I didn't really have anything to say about it. It just sounded like an ambitious thought to me. That's all it was. I know good and well that Lamar is not murdering me at all on any platform. So when that day presents itself, I guess we can revisit the topic." Which, looking back, is pretty ironic. This, combined with Kendrick's rise and his challenge to Drake's throne, set off nearly a decade of subtle shots between the two that we don't have time to dive into. But if we fast forward to the late 2010s, when Kendrick was on a break after Damn, we can clearly see Drake calling him out, not once, but multiple times.
You know, the other two guys that I'm constantly, up against, which is like Cole and Kendrick. I'm excited that the decade's about to turn and we're gonna see who can, who can go that extra stretch.
All these guys that go away 3, 4, 5 years, want to chill out, all that shit, that's not me.
After First Person Shooter, a track where Drake and J. Cole declared themselves the GOATs, Kendrick couldn't stay silent. He had to clap back. That's when he jumped on Like That with Future and Metro Boomin, and he didn't hold back. He went straight for Drake. Kendrick dropped lines like, "It's just Big Me, I'm really like that. And your best work is a light pack. Prince outlev Mike Jack for all your dogs getting buried. That's okay, with all these nines, he gonna see Pet Cemetery." As most of you probably know, this diss sent shockwaves through the rap world, and there was no way Drake could just let it slide. So of course he responded, and he did it with the leaked diss track Push-Ups. The song was loaded with bars aimed straight at Kendrick, but he also took shots at everyone else who was coming for him. He spit lines like, "How you big stepping with a size 7 men's on? Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we need a verse for all the Swifties." And a bunch of other savage lines like that throughout the track too. Drake argued that Like That wasn't the spark that started the beef, but rather that it had been building up for years. Something clearly evident from the decade of subliminal shots they've thrown at each other. If you want a deeper dive into Kendrick and Drake's complicated relationship, I'd recommend checking out this video by What's the Dirt, which I'll link down below. But Drake's latest response wasn't just aimed at Kendrick, it also threw some shade at other artists, including The Weeknd. Drake and The Weeknd's beef has been on and off for a while now, but after The Weeknd was featured all over Future and Metro's albums and threw a few shots at Drake, it looks like the flames have been reignited. It all kicked off in 2010 when Drake first heard about a fresh young artist named The Weeknd, and the two finally met in 2011. Drake was all in, supporting his career from the jump and becoming one of his biggest fans. They collaborated a lot, with The Weeknd even writing 4 songs on Drake's Take Care album. As The Weeknd started blowing up as a solo artist in 2012, Drake said, "I want to continue being involved in his career and vice versa and keep making music together. As far as on paper, it's all being worked out. But that's not really what counts anyway. What counts to me is the fact that affiliation is known, and that's all I really care about." It was pretty obvious that Drake had his sights set on signing The Weeknd, and he wasn't shy about saying it.
This is forever the first artist that OVO ever had and still has, and OVO XO is alive forever, I promise.
But things took a sharp turn when The Weeknd signed with Republic Records in September 2012, leaving Drake clearly upset. He took to Twitter saying, "You won't get away with just a thank you. You owe me a favor." Things went on as usual for a while, and if you're wondering, a typical Drake beef usually looks like throwing some subliminal shots in songs while still keeping it cool in interviews. But in 2013, everything shifted when The Weeknd did an interview with Complex. He revealed that the tracks he gave to Drake were actually meant for his own album House of Balloons, but he made it sound like he wasn't too thrilled about the decision, or maybe it wasn't the right move. He was also asked, in reference to Drake, "People think you guys aren't cool with each other anymore," to which he responded, "No, that's not true, but it makes sense. The thing about Drake is, I told him what my decisions were gonna be, and he was down with it from the beginning. So even though both of them insisted they were cool, there was clearly some tension around Take Care and The Weeknd not signing with OVO. In 2015, The Weeknd got a little more honest about his early relationship with Drake when he told Rolling Stone, "I gave up almost half of my album. It's hard. I will always be thankful. If it wasn't for the light he shined on me, who knows where I'd be? And everything happens for a reason. You never know what I would say if this success wasn't in front of me now." Even though The Weeknd wasn't completely thrilled about handing over some of his tracks to Drake, he still recognized and appreciated the huge boost Drake gave him. Things stayed quiet for a while until 2017, when they both appeared on each other's shows, signaling that they were cool despite any past tension. But then rumors surfaced that Drake was dating The Weeknd's ex, Bella Hadid, and that definitely could have stirred up some drama between them. After that, Drake posted a throwback photo from Take Care, and someone commented saying The Weeknd wrote the entire album, to which Drake fired back saying, "AEL co-wrote on Shot for Me, and Practice obviously was featured on Crew Love and The Ride, and that's it. There's 20 songs on that album. Don't try me." Then, in a surprising twist, The Weeknd got back together with Bella Hadid for a while, which definitely seemed to ruffle Drake's feathers. At least that's what many people speculated. On his 2018 album Scorpion, Drake appeared to send more subliminal shots at The Weeknd. Fast forward to 2019, and The Weeknd seemed to clap back with a diss of his own on Lost in the Fire, where he said, "And I just want a baby with the right one, cause I could never be the one to hide one," which is a direct reference to Pusha T exposing that Drake had a son he was hiding from the world. The Weeknd also threw in another jab on Nav's track Price on My Head, where he said, "You beefing with yourself, tell the truth. People on your side, they would ride for me too." But once again, Drake stuck to his story, insisting that he had nothing but love for The Weeknd.
To this day, I'm always excited, always super happy for all those guys. And I never had any resentment towards oh, you didn't stay on OVO. That was never really I'm not gonna say there weren't people that didn't feel a way about it, but that was never my thing. I never expected Abel to stay under OVO as soon as I heard him once express that he wanted to do his own thing. So it's my biggest regret would maybe be that we probably wasted 7 years not communicating with each other when we had something beautiful going on.
Drake echoed those same feelings on his track war, where he said, "Oh Voxo, link up," and they boy that sound like he sang on Thriller. "We just had to fix things, family. 6 things, we can't split up." After that, it seemed like things were back on track, especially when they were spotted hanging out together at The Weeknd's birthday party in 2022. But in 2023, on Drake's album For All the Dogs, it looked like he might have taken another shot at The Weeknd on the track All the Parties, where he said, "My plant P and D and them shorties don't listen to Weeknd." Some people argue it wasn't a diss, but given everything that's happened recently, it very well could be. In late March of this year, Future and Metro Boomin dropped their collab album We Don't Trust You, which, if you haven't heard, was basically a full-on diss album aimed at Drake, with a number of features who also had beef with him. The Weeknd made an appearance with some vocals, but it wasn't until they released We Still Don't Trust You that The Weeknd really went for Drake. The most direct shots came on the track All To Myself, where The Weeknd rapped, "They could never diss my brothers when they got leaks in the operation. I thank God that I never signed my life away, and we never do the big talk. The shooters making TikToks got us laughing in the Lambo." This line hits on a couple of things, like how OVO affiliates leaked info to Pusha T about Drake's son, and how The Weeknd's grateful he never signed with OVO. And of course, Drake wasn't exactly thrilled about this collaboration, so he fired back with some shots of his own on his recently leaked diss track, Push CHS. Drake said, "Your manager was Chubbs. Lil Blunt Runner claimed the 6 and you boys didn't even come from it. And when you boys got rich, you had to run from it. Cash Blow and Abel Bread out here tricking expletive. We do for. Is he doing for dudes?" Cash XO is The Weeknd's manager, so basically, Drake was taking shots at both of them with that line. Now, while we can't say for sure why the beef between Drake and The Weeknd reignited, it definitely has something to do with some ex-girlfriend drama or The Weeknd not signing with OVO back in the day. And since he knew The Weeknd had it out for Drake, Metro Boomin made sure to bring him in for this album with Future. Another artist he made sure to include, a SAP Rocky. Much like the Weeknd, ASAP Rocky and Drake used to be tight, but now there's some serious beef between them, mainly because of a girl, shocker, right? When ASAP Rocky was just getting started, Drake brought him along on his Club Paradise tour with Kendrick Lamar. Because of this, Rocky credited Drake as the one who put him on.
The only person that put on for me when I ain't have nobody was Drake. I'm talking about Drake was the first person to put on, like, before anybody. He didn't want to sign me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to, it was like, yo, that's raw talent, yo. Like, you gotta shine, yo. I'm gonna see to it. I forever owe Drake.
They worked together on tracks like Fucking Problems and were tight for a while. But as many of you probably know, Drake had a serious thing for Rihanna. They were rumored to have dated briefly in 2009 and again in 2014, though Rihanna denied both times. But it always seemed like Drake was obsessed with her. I mean, remember that speech he gave about her at the VMAs when he said, but most of all, we love the woman who hasn't changed since day one. She's someone I've been in love with since I was 22 years old. She's one of my best friends in the world. All my adult life, I've looked up to her. Even though she's younger than me, she's a living, breathing legend in our industry. Apparently, they even shared a kiss on stage during this time. But there was definitely a love triangle brewing. ASAP, Rocky, and Rihanna met around 2011 and first collaborated in 2012. He even toured with her in 2013. But then, in 2018 and 2019, Rihanna and Rocky were seen hanging out more. And by 2020, rumors started swirling that they were an item, especially after Rihanna split from her previous boyfriend. Fast forward to 2022, and the couple was expecting their first child together, followed by another in 2023. Rihanna later confirmed that their romantic relationship officially started in 2019, and there were even whispers about them getting married. But there was one person who seemed a little bit jealous, and that was none other than our guy Drake. Many fans believe that Drake's track Fear of Heights from For All the Dogs was aimed at Rihanna, especially with lines like, "Why they make it sound like I'm still hung up on you? That could never be me, girl. Can't run better him than me. Better it's not me, and the SX was average with you. I'm anti cause I had it with you, and I had way better than you, TBH. Yeah, that man, he's still with you. He can't leave you." Basically, the entire first verse was a shot at Rihanna and Rocky, and honestly, in my opinion, some of those disses were pretty weak. Drake also seemed to throw some shade at Rocky on the track. Another late night where he said, "I ain't pretty flow to get really rocky." And then on Virginia Beach, Drake dropped this line, "I know what you say. You say I could have treated you better or whatever. But I don't know, I think I did all right. And you know how you get drawing conclusions like you got a Parsons degree or something. I could have treated you better? That's crazy." Nope. In a hilarious interview, a TMZ reporter tried to jog alongside Rocky while firing off some questions, including one about the Drake diss. Rocky, however, stayed tight-lipped. But he sort of responded on Kid Cudi's track Wow, where he said, "These people can't stomach me. Gotta go get a mandre." However, Rocky finally tackled the situation head-on Future and Metro's second diss album, We Still Don't Trust You, specifically on the track Show of Hands. He said, "People swear they the bad. I just beg the worst. One in they feelings over women. What you heard or something? I smashed before you birthed Son Flow. Hit it first, son. Still don't trust you. It's always us, never them. Heard you dropped your latest expletive. Funny how it just came and went." It's pretty clear what Rocky was talking about here. Drake didn't seem to directly target Rocky on his latest diss track, but he did share this meme aimed at everyone who's thrown shots his way. So at least now we know why the two of them are beefing. But here's the kicker. One person we didn't know had beef with Drake was Rick Ross, until we recently found out why. Rick Ross is an artist who seemed to be good friends with Drake for quite a while now. So when people found out Drake and Rick Ross were beefing, many were shocked. The two have collaborated countless times, with huge tracks like Money in the Grave and I'm on One. They even teased the idea of a joint album as recently as 2021. There was a brief conflict between them back in 2016 when Drake was in the middle of his beef with Meek Mill. Since Meek was signed to Rick Ross's label, Ross said, "If it's got to go there, Renzo's gonna jump off the porch on your ass. That's just the way I've always been, and I'm gonna die that way. You just gotta know what you're doing for your dogs." So it was pretty clear Ross was backing his artist, which makes sense. When Drake and Meek eventually patched things up, So did Rick Ross and Drake. The most recent time we heard Rick Ross speak positively about Drake was in May of 2023, when he said on Drink Champs that he and Drake are very close. Even in January of this year, Rick Ross told Aiden Ross on a live stream that his favorite Drake collab was Stay Schemin', and that making it was a magical experience. In March of this year, Rick Ross and his girlfriend Christina Mackey revealed they'd split in February, but then, for some unknown reason, Rick Ross unfollowed Drake on Instagram. After Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar dropped, most of the attention was on Kendrick's verse, and people may not have realized that Rick Ross was actually featured on the album too. An album, by the way, that was packed with Drake disses, basically aimed squarely at him. Ross's verse didn't seem to target Drake, but that little hint of allegiance might have been enough to rub Drizzy the wrong way. Not long after, Drake invited Rick Ross's ex, Christina Mackey, to one of his concerts. She posted a fancy invite, which probably had Ross feeling some type of way. That's when people started speculating there was beef, and it was confirmed soon after when Drake's Push-Ups diss track leaked. In it, he threw some bars at Rick Ross saying, "I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he jumping in, he turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart he got from Drizzy. Spend that little check you got and stay out my business." So Drake briefly addressed Rick Ross, mentioning how he took his girl, bringing up Ross's past as a correctional officer, and even claiming that every song on the charts that Rick Ross had was because of him. He didn't dwell on Ross for too long though, since there were plenty of other people to throw shots at. But it was enough to get Rick Ross to immediately hit the studio and fire back with a full-length diss track. He said, "Ghostwriters, they get to floss what you could have had. Record label taking a loss. You in your bag. You a worker wanting to chart. Don't make me laugh." In the track, Rick Ross directly addressed Drake's claims, saying that since Drake outsources things like ghostwriters and has to pay for them, his record label is probably taking a loss on his music. Ross didn't hold back, continuing on with, "Like his moves, but he never had to fight in school. Always ran, and another person had to write your grooves. Flow is copy and paste. Weezy gave you the juice. Another white boy at the park wanna hang with the crew." In this line, Ross calls Drake soft again, claiming that he doesn't live the lifestyle he raps about. He also threw in a jab saying Drake just stole his flow from Lil Wayne. On the hook, Ross called Drake out for leaking his diss track instead of confronting him directly. But the most shocking part came in the outro, when Ross accused Drake of wanting to be white, alleging he had no surgery to make his nose smaller than his dad's. This accusation was so wild that it even got Drake's mom texting him, asking, "The internet is saying you got a nose job." To which he responded, "It's coming from Rick Ross, the guy I did songs with. He's gone loopy off the Moonaro. He hasn't eaten in days, and it's turned him angry and racist. He's performing at proms for money. It's bad, don't worry. We'll handle it." He even tagged Rick Ross saying, "You're one nosy goof." Rick Ross then revealed that he unfollowed Drake because Drake allegedly sent a cease and desist to French Montana, which finally shed some light on why the beef started in the first place. There's been a lot of speculation that the song Splash Brothers from Mac and Cheese 5 by French Montana was originally meant to feature Drake. A leaked version of the track has Rick Ross and Lil Wayne on it, but not Drake. Many believe that Drake sent a cease and desist to stop its release. Of course, we don't know all the details, since French Montana hasn't spoken on the situation, but since Rick Ross has mentioned it, and it doesn't seem like something he'd make up, it's probably the real reason why he's at odds with Drake. They've also been going back and forth on Instagram, arguing about who has the bigger mansion and other ridiculous rich person stuff that's hard to relate to. While it's not really central to their beef, it does show that Drake doesn't take Rick Ross seriously enough to address him in his music anymore. However, there are a few more artists that fans speculate have beef with Drake right now. Like everyone else on this list, Kanye and Drake were friends early in Drake's career. There was some tension here and there, especially after a Kanye rant from 2016 where he said the radio plays too much Drake. But for the most part, everything seemed fine until 2018 when Pusha T's beef with Drake was escalating and Kanye had just produced Pusha's album Daytona. That's when things seemed to sour. Drake felt that Kanye, who had released multiple albums that year that he produced, intentionally released them to mess with the timing of Drake's album Scorpion. Kanye apologized for this, but then came the infamous Lift Yourself track. This song is hilarious because Drake once praised the beat, but then Kanye completely wasted it with lines like poopity scoop and dropped it anyway. Then Kanye flipped out, accusing Drake of taking shots at him on sicko mode and allegedly threatening his family. It doesn't stop there. There was more drama in 2021 and even more in 2023 when Drake sampled Kim Kardashian, Kanye's ex, in his track Search and Rescue. Rumors have been swirling that Kim and Drake might be secretly dating, though nothing's been confirmed. Fans have spotted Kim at several of Drake's shows, and some lyrics from Drake's songs seem to hint at her, which likely didn't sit well with Kanye. Over the years, Drake has thrown endless subliminal shots, while Kanye's gone off on rants about Drake non-stop. So yeah, their beef boils down to a bunch of petty stuff. Nothing too shocking, given their larger-than-life personalities. I wasn't even planning to bring Kanye into this video, but then he just had to jump back into the mix by remixing the track that kicked it all off. Like that. And on his remix, Kanye said, "It's a rap for people. Where's Lucian? Serve your master. You caught a little bag for your masters, didn't you? Lifetime deal, I feel bad." Kanye threw that shot because he's no longer with the label, but Drake's still under UMG, whose CEO is Lucian Grange. Talk about a direct clap back to what Drake said about Kendrick dropping 4 Top. It's wild to see yet another person throw themselves into the beef with Drake. Now everyone's just waiting for Pusha T to make his move. Oh, and J. Cole caught a stray on this track too, which was brutal. Kanye even posted this meme about Cole, so I'm honestly feeling bad for him now. Now let's dive into some people who are rumored to have beef with Drake. Though, I'll personally think these are all pretty far-fetched, starting with J. Cole. If you've somehow missed it, Drake and J. Cole have been tight lately. They just teamed up on First Person Shooter and wrapped up their tour like a week ago. So it's almost impossible that they're beefing. Still, J. Cole surprised everyone by hopping on Metro Boomin and Future's We Still Don't Trust You with a verse on Red Leather, which had people thinking he switched sides. But honestly, his verse had nothing to do with the drama, and neither did the song. Sure, some people think Drake might get in his feelings about it, but I seriously doubt it, especially since they were literally on tour together when the song dropped. Another person some think has beef with Drake is Travis Scott, mainly because he also featured on We Don't Trust You. Even though his verse had 0 disses toward Drake, a video surfaced of Drake pretending to shoot a Travis Scott head at his show, which made people think there's drama between them, but in reality he was just performing one of his songs with Travis, and he's been doing that bit throughout the entire tour. Plus, in Drake's diss track, he even gave Travis a shout out, so once again it's pretty unlikely they're beefing. But it's possible there's some kind of animosity between Drake and Nav. After Like That dropped and Rick Ross unfollowed Drake, Nav did the same thing. Not long after, Drake posted a picture on Instagram with the caption, "I'm picking up, I'm in Turks, lil baby." That caption was a quote from Nav's song Turks. But honestly, nothing's happened since, so we can't say for sure if there's any real beef. Nav didn't even hop on We Still Don't Trust You, so we're left guessing. Either way, it's obvious Drake's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the industry, and I'm definitely excited to see how this all unfolds.